Learning in just the last few minutes here that the president has approved a 28-point plan for peace between Russia and Ukraine, according to a senior administration official. This is just into us here at NBC News. This official says this has been getting worked out over the last several weeks. And it comes as sources are telling us army leaders are making a surprise trip to Ukraine to try to revive the peace process. All of it coming at the end of a day where the Saudi crown prince was making the rounds here in D.C., doing some politics and some business with the president and on Capitol Hill. You can see Mohammed bin Salman, MBS as he's known, there at the White House. This was yesterday. He was also walking through the Hill with the House Speaker. The president touting billions of dollars in deals with the Saudis, investments on things like nuclear energy, minerals, tech, etc. Let me bring in Garrett Haake at the White House. And Garrett, I have to start with your new reporting that's just into us here on the war in Ukraine. The president, I think people remember, had promised back during his campaign he would bring peace to that region day one. Obviously, that hasn't been the case. Where do things stand now, and what are you hearing from these officials?
Yeah, that context is so important, Hallie, because this was a longtime campaign promise of the president to end this war on day one. He's been repeatedly frustrated by the lack of progress that he's been able to create. There was that summit in Alaska over the summer that basically went nowhere. There was about a day of discussion about another summit in Budapest that then was called off. What I've learned today from a official is that really since that summit fell apart, there's been a very quiet behind-the-scenes effort here led by Steve Witkoff, the president's special envoy for basically conflicts all around the world, along with the vice president, Secretary Rubio, and also the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to craft this new 28-point plan, kind of the sim framework idea that was developed around the war in Gaza, working with, the White House official says, Ukrainian officials and Russian officials to try to find some way to break the impasse here, some way to end this war. When the White House isn't talking about the specifics of this plan, they are optimistic that perhaps this new way of thinking may at least break the logjam here, suggesting that this plan has security guarantees both for Ukraine, whose needs are obvious, they were the country that was invaded, and also for Russia, who has, in public comments always said that they are kind of the aggrieved party here, concerned about the expansion of NATO and the possibility of Ukraine being a member, that this plan would have potentially something for everyone. Now, the fact that these military leaders, these army leaders were in Ukraine today appears to be largely coincidental. This plan had been in the works for some time, but was only approved by the president this week, either yesterday or the day before. I'm not quite certain when. But now it is the operative plan here, and the White House is hoping they can get buy-in from the Kremlin and the Ukrainians on it, perhaps sooner rather than later.
Is there going to be some big rollout, announcement-y type thing, Garrett? Do you have any sense of that?
I think that's going to depend on the buy-in. The Russian side of this has been worked by a man named Kirill Dmitriev. He's President Putin's envoy here. We've heard no comment, at least no substantive hugging, wrapping around the arms, if you will, of this plan by any Russian official since then. So we still are kind of where we have always been here, which is trying to get both parties to the table here. The early indication from the Ukrainians is this was not something that they were particularly thrilled about, but the White House says they were consulted. So where this all lands, I think it's too early to say, but it is, I think, a rethinking of the strategy here, which had largely depended upon getting Trump and Putin and Zelensky into a room together. That seems to have gone out the window.
Garrett, before I let you go, and we talk about sort of things related to international intrigue, there's also obviously this visit by MBS. White House yesterday, Big Hill Energy today, and a lot of sort of questions and spotlight on this visit, too.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Bin Salman is such a controversial figure all around the world for various reasons. Here in Washington, he's been welcomed as a deal maker and as someone who the president and his allies can do business with, both politically and literally. We had the announcement from Elon Musk that his AI company is going to be doing, I think, a $500 million data center deal with Saudi Arabia. And we have the diplomatic back and forth between the president, who very much wants to see the Saudis become part of his Abraham Accords. He talked about that yesterday. Well, today he also talked about what bin Salman wants from him, and that's the president to get involved in the civil war in the Sudan, which has been raging since 2023, basically asking the president to put his peacemaker reputation on the line, if you will, to try to settle what's been an intractable conflict, killed more than 100,000 people between Sudan's government and a paramilitary group there. The president said on Truth Social he'll try, but that's a very complex conflict, and we'll see what leverage, if any, the president has on this internal war there.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.